Man, I don't care if this gets viewed, but you know what? I'm going to say it anyway. Yes, it's the same area, blah, 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 blah. It's 1037. I probably made this stinking video about like 20 different times trying to get this stinking thing right. But it's always like a new thing that always comes up and a new thing that always comes up. And it just always is so annoying. But let me get into it, all right? Let me tell you why I'm doing this stinking thing. So, literally, the way I can express this is this. It's April. Not today, but the story starts in April, right? You graduated, 2 years community college, stinking, associate's degree, computer science, game design. You think that that's, okay, that's pretty solid, swag, bro. Coding, Python, all that. No, because jobs are apparently non-existent. Ghost jobs. Jobs that basically say that we're hiring, but in reality we aren't because we want to be trolls. And I'm not talking about the movie. As soon as you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go less than. No Walmart, no Dollar General, buddy. No stinking Goodwill. Goodwill of all. Okay. So realizing this, your mom comes over and is like, son. Let me call you over and make it seem like it's like a murder incident. I need to come talk to you. Going downstairs. Mom's basically like, so you have to do a little bit more chores because, well, essentially, you're a NEET. You're a bum. You don't have a stinking job. So we're going to tax you on with more chores. By more chores, I mean just doing your sister's chores, but extra chores. Like instead of just doing your sister's chores of just dishes and that really pretty much be it. And I don't know why she complains because she gets the same exact amount of money as me. And I'm sitting over here wrestling dogs and taking out the trash and having to pick things in the ground. No, none of that. I'm talking about that but like I have to sweep and mop. I'm not good at mopping. Sweeping, I love sweeping, but mopping, ooh, that stuff is tough. That stuff is extremely tough, man. I always put too much water. That's one of my main problems. So realizing this, I said, nah, bud, I gotta get it. I gotta get a job. I gotta hopefully try to get something, even though I've been trying all this time, all these months, literally going into conventions and all this stuff, can't even find anything. Not even the pipes would take me, bro. So I sit over here like, dang, all right, dashing. So I decided to get some DoorDash and I decided to, do that. Now, I didn't tell my mom and them at the time, so they were like, oh, where are you going? I'm just like, oh, well, I'm going to dash. And then that's when they were like, oh, okay, like delivery. I'm like, yeah. So we got that cleared up. Never mind the fact that she basically trying to press me on it, which is like, you don't see me trying to press you on like whatever you do. That's whatever. I get it's you being concerned, but like I'm 21 at this point and you've pretty much been concerned all your life. I need you to kind of relax, Mom. You're a nat 1. In terms of like doing certain skills and stuff. I'm not talking about anything crazy. So point case in being, I do that. And I'm doing the dashing and I think it's okay. And then this week we get not the quota of $50 because it's, $50, 4 hours. That's what we try to at least go for. Didn't meet the quota. So then my mom, out of all the times that we had to talk, that's whenever she was on my case. Well, you can try to find another different job, this type of thing. And I obviously I am. I'm not going to sit here and do door dashing forever. But I just sit here like, bro, no one can just be appeased, bro. And it's always like with the whole like jobs, like, oh, well, you can do this. Oh, you can do that. Oh, you can do this. Like my grandmother's, one of them was like, well, you can do technology for the school because, one of the church members was like, well, we need somebody who can do computer tech at our school, even though that their literal school is filled to the brim with computer technicians because they already know this stinking glitch of y'all not knowing how to do it. So that's why they just do it themselves. And then recent schools around here, they don't even accept me for that because they're already full, right? Another grandmother tells me to go work at the prison for health benefits, where I can get easily beaten and spit on. And I'm not talking about no, kick, I guess in your case, hot sort of way. It's not really my thing. I'm not really a big fan of saliva or blood. Yeesh, Linhart, eek, battle. But it's like, bruh, really? Then your sister tries to put you on. I'm just like, man, ladies, Let's mind our own business, please. And that's even just a people thing in general. It's like, bro, it's not even like that, right? But I think it really comes in this roundabout way to meet the 5-minute mark. You can't just simply just do your job or just do your thing without somebody always D1 like riding on you, bro. I'm not sugarcoating it. There's always going to be somebody that's always going to be stinking looking at you and everything. And it irks me. And when I say this is like, and this is to kind of like solidify my whole point, right? If there's one thing I'll tell you that in a black household people will not understand is you cannot do nothing without somebody being on your case. What I mean is that there's people doing drugs, harder and criminals and all this stuff, but you just simply sitting there reading, mind your own business, just doing your life. Nah, bro, you are just a stinking neat. You should be doing way more. And it's like, dude, leave, get out of here. I say this because like my dad, right? He usually would mow. My dad's obviously a workaholic. He works like he basically lives and breathes and sleeps work. Like I've never seen this guy ever like decide to relax. Dude, like those memes where it's like talking about like when dads take their day off just to like do basically the chores and then, complain at you. I was sitting here like, did you just like copy mine and my sister's experience? That's kind of crazy. Anyway, so he'll mow, right? And he'll mow the grass. And then I'm checking around the grass, before he mows. There's trash. There's nothing, right? There's nothing. And then the next time he mows, there's trash. And I'm like, bro, what's Klay Thompson doing out here? But regardless, right? Why is there trash on the stinking grass? There was not trash whenever I checked. There was not trash literally the 10 seconds prior that I literally just went outside. There's trash. So now guess what I have to do? I have to go pick up the trash because it just doesn't make any sense. I think it's always one of the most stupidest things that you can ever do to a person is just to actively give them tasks to do to make them busy. And it's not even like mandatory tasks. It's like tasks that are just, they're just unnecessary tasks. Like, why am I going out of my way to pick up trash that just magically spawned in the grass? Why would you do that? To get me active? It doesn't make any sense. And on top of that, I'm pretty certain that they probably don't know, but I have mainly been trying to at least like, keep the jobs. Like, darned if I do, darned if I don't is what I'm trying to get at. I was thinking have the dash thing. If I'm me sitting at the house, making YouTube videos, trying to do all that and at least trying to, better myself in a sort of skill of like, video editing, talking, speech and all that. Right? But then the moment I get a stinking job, right? Just somebody delivering to people and doing all that. Darned if I do, darned if I don't, bro. It's like I can't do this without someone else judging me for that. So one thing I'll mainly tell you to kind of like end this all before, we meet the 10-minute mark. 2 things. 1, just do you, bro. Cody's this, Cody's that. No, Cody's me, bro. Let me be me. Right? And that applies to y'all. All right? Do what you love. Do what you do, even if it's like no one likes it, right? My dad never liked games. He despised it. He hated it. He was like a D1 hater of video games. We proved him wrong. Me, you, Zaboomafoo, chicken, right? And I was like, dang, you can make money off of it. And I'm like, yeah, I guess you can, but that's not always the passion. It's like every time they always just see dollar signs. I can make a YouTube video, they're like, oh, so where's the money? Dude, why? Like, it really does get to a point. It's like, yeah, okay, it's in your business, but like, that's not really my end goal. Like, my whole thing is not really just to be like, oh, I can't wait to hopefully get paid by somebody. That's not really the whole thing. It's just, make these stinking reviews and talk and do all this stuff. That's what I like to do because, well, I know somebody out there surely will listen to me for once while I just sit and just let everything else happen, right? So, there's that. But I guess I would say for another thing is like, and you can really end this off for pretty much essentially anything, right? Like, I'm gonna tell you this. There's nothing wrong with helping people. That's not what I'm trying to get at, right? But like when your mom, you're at church and then your church members are like, oh, we need help. And you're like, okay, I'll do it, right? But then like church members are like, we need help. And your mom's like, oh, well, my son can do it. Or a better example is like, your grandfather does a call to action, and then says, like with like YouTube where people are like and subscribe. he does a call to action is like, I need all the young men being you, because you're the only young person here, because we're all old. And I mean that in a nice way. They're all like 60 and 70. The lowest person probably being like 40. So it's like, what? And even the younger people are still literally children and like not around at church. So yeah, it doesn't really pay to be the only like pretty much country boy around in the area. Not really a fun thing for my niche. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with helping people. It's just like, it's just always whenever it's like a whole, oh, well, we got to make you look busy. And then the moment that, you kind of mess up, like rarely, that'll pretty much be, it's all on you. What I mean by this is this, right? And I'm actually going to get to the end what I'm trying to say for pretty much the whole entire thing I'm trying to get at. It's like, so my sister had this towel, right? And my mom had realized, dang, this towel is like dirty and wet. Actually, not even dirty or wet, it's just disgusting. So she decides to throw it into the washer. And as mad as she was about that, she forgot that she was even supposed to be washing it. So now we just have a dirty, wet thing. And so I got the vacuum and I decided to vacuum it out. And I cleaned it out, both the dryer and the washer, the washing machine, I mean. I tell this to my mom, and then she's like, instead of like, oh, well, thanks, what you did, why did you clean it out with the vacuum? You're not supposed to clean vacuum wet things. And I'm sitting here like, and this predates back to that Fire Emblem video where she basically had called and screamed the whole entire house way through because simply I had used the vacuum to clean up some business. And I understand that, that's like, okay. But cardboard? And I even had to kind of check her on that. I was like, Mom, you're yelling about the wrong thing here. I think you should be more sick of the fact that you literally let a wet towel sit in the washing machine. I don't know, dude. There's really there's no winning with these people, bro. That's why I just sit there. Like when they're like, say something, I don't say anything, bro. I just sit and stand. Because what's the point of saying anything if you're not even going to try to reciprocate what at all I'm saying? You want me to say what you're saying in your head, but that's not what I'm trying to get at. Like, that's not what I'm trying to like, I'm not in your head. I'm not going to be your yes man. Right. So, yeah. So to end this off, if there's one thing you can take yourself home with on this one, is that if there's one thing I'll tell you in a black household, one main thing that people will not like, and they cannot stand, is when you mind your own business. There are people doing murders. There are people literally actively just doing bad things. Not even like, this other weird YouTuber this and all these people that. But no, you sitting there just simply reading and abiding your own business and just doing that, can't have that. What, you're thinking doing the dashing? Can't have that. What, you're thinking making YouTube videos and all that stuff and trying to better your stinking portfolio on how you want to do things? Can't do that. Sending out job applications? Can't do that. Then you actually, like I said, then you actually get the job. Can't do that because they're still going to be judging. So this is the third thing that I wanted to say. Live your life in accordance to you, because you're pretty much the only person that can really just stop your journey. It's basically all I can really say. Not to even be spiritual or anything like that. That's not really my thing. Because if not, I praise the Lord. Ale. Right? But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I'm pretty certain that, if y'all have something like, I guess, similar or something like that, we got all that. But I should be like, probably streaming this Friday. This Friday and Saturday. I'm definitely going to be doing that. It's going to be Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Some more on Friday, 12 p.m. CST. And then Sly Cooper 2, or Sly 2, because, they dropped the Cooper Saturday. And I'm at least trying to get through the Sly series on Saturdays, and then, like, the Fire Emblem, do that. And then once I'm done with Fire Emblem, I think I'll move on to Persona 3, because I still need to beat Persona 3 Reload, and I really actually want to, do that. The only reason why I really had stopped, I think it was because, like, I thought that everything was cool, but I just thought it was kind of, like, bland. Not bland, like the game being bland. I just mean, like, I don't like when remastered, like, P3, when it was like regular, I thought it was okay because it had the grit. I'm not gonna talk about this right now. I mean, I actually am. Basically, it just looked a lot more toned. You know, like I like the atmosphere, but P3 Reload feels way too, we're fresh instead of, we're gritty. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. Anyway, that's about it. Like and sub. If you want to see more like podcast type things, I hope to be able to make more of these. I keep saying that every single time. I don't know why. Help me, please. But yeah, I can't wait. I really love this stuff. It really, really gets, like the stuff off my chest that I can't really always say like on the stream because of like maybe something here and something there. But, I think it's pretty nice. I think it's therapeutic. I like this a lot. Sorry about like the constant like blowing out of my nose. It's always like just bad allergies because, it's like about to be summer and yeah. So like I said, like and sub. You want to talk a little bit more? We got a Discord. You want to fund us out, get us out of the dash. You know where to find us, Swag Scoops. And with that being said, this is Swag Brother Briss, eating his chicken and cheese, hopefully trying to get a meal, probably at McDonald's. But I'm going to be honest, our McDonald's been kind of mid, and they're kind of extremely mean. Saying to beware and take care. Trying to meet the 30-second mark.